Hi, my name is Jerry Young, and I'd like to talk a little bit about the Generations House of Worship Church. I'd like to talk about one particular Sunday. There was Pastor Nick was preaching, and he stopped preaching and he said, "We're going to have a healing service." And I went up front because I had a runny nose and I wanted to be healed from that. But God didn't heal me from that. Instead, I suffer from a disease called polymyositis. Most people have never heard of it, and most people never will. It's a very rare autoimmune muscle disease. It affects most every muscle in the body. And although I've had great amounts of healing in the past, where my upper body was coming back, my legs had extreme pain for the last 3 years. Whenever I would see a set of steps, they would not be friendly looking to me. I would grab the rail, force my way up the step. Well, Pastor Nick had this call to the front, and I went up. And I didn't realize it until about 15 minutes later when it was time to leave the church. We have about 8 or 10 steps into the church. I stepped down and I said, that feels a little different. So I turned around and I went back up. And I haven't been able to do that in years. I turned around and I went back down. I went up and I skipped a step I skipped every other step. That's something I haven't been able to do in 10 years. I just was amazed. But then something else happened. It was Monday at work. And I have suffered from a couple of different kinds of migraines for many years. I would get 5 to 15 partial ocular migraines every day. Monday at work, I realized about noon, I have not had one yet. Oh, okay, that's a long stretch. But then Monday went into Tuesday, Tuesday into Wednesday. And now here we are 6 weeks later, and I still have not had one. I also suffered from another kind of migraine called a migraine with aura. And that one wasn't quite as regular. I didn't know that I was healed from them. I was wondering, but every time I got on an airplane, I got one. Well, since the healing service 6 weeks ago, I have been on 8 airplanes, and I have not had one single migraine. I told Pastor Nick that I just figured that the pain in my legs was my thorn in the side, like Paul. And he felt so compassionate that I should have had this altar call years ago. But I didn't know Pastor Nick years ago. And I had been trying to get healed. I mean, I did mention my upper body did get healed. The lower body, I thought that was going to be a thorn that I was going to live with forever. We have 3 generations in our family coming to Generations House of Worship. It's my wife and I, our daughter who is about 30, and our granddaughter who is 10 months old. My daughter did not want to be in a traditional church. She had some not pleasant experiences with people's attitudes in churches, and that left a bad taste. We came over to this church without her because we didn't know what it was. We didn't want to invite her to some kind of a cult or something. Well, it took about 15 minutes here to know that this was no cult. This was the real deal. And my daughter, who had stepped away from the church, I'm going to say about 15 years ago, is now back looking forward to Sundays. She is ready to go. She wants to be involved. She wants to do more. And most of all, she wants to bring our granddaughter, her daughter, up with Jesus at her side day by day. And this Generations House of Worship is the church where that can be done. If someone would ask me, why should I come to your church? Well, my first gut response is, why not? But then let's get into the real nitty-gritty of what this church is about. This church is about loving people. It doesn't care about the past. The past is behind us. We care about the future here. We care about a relationship with Jesus Christ. We care about reaching the lost. The people who are struggling, who really have never felt the love of God before, to bring them in And it doesn't matter, like I said, what your past was, we care about your future. It doesn't matter where you've been, it matters where you're going. It doesn't matter what skin color you have. I mean, there are no black and white people. There's darker and lighter shades of brown. And we are colorblind to that. We don't see it. And we don't see age. We don't see any imperfections in people. What we see is God's people created the way they are to come to Him in His time, and the time is now.